I just don't, not sure about you know, there's some uncertainties. We still don't know, like, can we open? Can we not open? When are we gonna open?
Yeah,
Phase
I think
one, phase two, phase three. Like, the uncertainty is driving me nuts because you try to plan around it. You try to figure out what you're gonna do. You're trying to figure out short-term solutions, long-term solutions,
hmm
and I don't like the uncertainty. I don't like not knowing how long I have to figure things out.
I hear you. Same boat. It's starting to like it's confusing, you know what I mean? Because man, I'm not sure about yourself, but I look at the news all over. Like not just our news, not just the US
Yep,
chaos news
yep.
that's going on right now, but in general globally. And there is a lot of academies that are opening up in the jiu-jitsu community globally. You know what I mean? And they're doing it. Like so I look around and Canada's doing pretty good compared to a lot of other places in the world. And, so I don't know. I got mixed feelings. You know what I mean? I trained yesterday.
Yeah, but
I was blessed.
you know how it is. You know how it is, though. It's as much as this is an incredible country, and I'm super proud to be Canadian. Um, there's also almost like a overly conservative approach to doing things.
No, for sure.
So
And it's
they're
so
they're
key.
taking their sweet time with everything.
Well, that's the thing. The
And
key is
so
like we have one
safety, safety,
chance to do
safety.
this, and we have to do it 100% the best we can right. Because all it takes is one little mistake and we're in the shits again, right? So even for the community in the martial arts community in general, not just us as jujitsu practitioners and stuff, it has to be done 100% right the first time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that I think we as a community need to get together and stay strong, unite, and help each other
Yeah.
come with the best plan possible in general.
Well, no, this is ongoing.
Yeah.
As we speak, there's plenty of there's a Facebook group, I think right now it's called Ontario Martial Arts, and
hmm
it's all about trying to get a majority of um, martial arts academies together to try and do petitions, to try and do our safety protocols of on why we should open earlier in stage two instead of stage three. So all of these things are in motion. The people are trying really, really hard, and there's a few gentlemen spearheading that to try
Yeah.
and get us to open sooner. The OJA is doing what they can, but I think they're a little bit limited and kind of
hmm
hands tied kind of situation. There's only so much they can do,
Oh,
but there are like
100%.
the people are trying really, really hard, but I just don't know how much I just hope all this effort that they're putting forth, which I'm grateful for. I just hope it's not in vain, and that the government is
Yeah,
like, whatever, you're going to open when you say you open, and that's it, right? So that's
100%.
that's uh oh, yeah.
Scary times. Scary times.
How,
Definitely scary
how's
times.
how you doing with Fighters Market? How's Fighters
Well,
Market doing?
you can imagine, just like the rest of our community, it's been extremely tough. Sales have gone down just a few weeks back, just over 80% in loss of not having any
Yeah.
sales. But it's to be suspected, you know what I mean? Like we're doing our best. We did some promos a couple months ago. We did Choke Republic, just trying to give back at the same time in the sense
Hmm.
of we appreciate and we respect and much love to our community that's trying to help us and support us through this time as well to keep us alive. So last month we did the Maeda prize giveaway, which was a gi, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Starting today, we're going to be doing something with Kings, most likely similar to what we did with Maeda, or maybe this time we'll
I
do some
think
rash guards.
yeah. I think one of the guys that won may have been one of my guys from
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was cool.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
yeah, I mean, we're trying to do our best. We have some new promotions coming up soon. to help the academies to try and
Yeah.
stay afloat. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I
Hmm.
think we spoke about that earlier
Yep. Yep.
last month. So we're looking at doing something like that. We got some new products. You'll be happy. There's some new stuff being worked on for Maeda. So yeah, we our crew in San Diego is right now doing some revamps and stuff.
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
yeah, so I'm really excited to see what's on the plate and what's coming in for Maeda. We got some new stuff with Kings as well. Some of them has already been launched. The new Kings One, so you know the navy blue and the green. There is a specific gi only for Canada as usual. That's already in motion productions. I just finalized my
Nice.
design a couple of days ago, so
Why
I'm looking forward
Kings?
to that.
Why Kings? I want a Maeda Canada
I
edition,
know,
man.
and I knew this was going to come up. I knew this was going to come up. Just right now, you know, fortunately, Kings is at the top. You know what I mean, and Maeda is creeping up there as well. You know, that's why we've been working extremely hard since last year on revamping Maeda. We introduced the Maeda B series, which was a huge
Yeah.
thing for Maeda as well,
Yeah.
and that was just the beginning of Maeda. You know, so but unfortunately we cannot neglect Kings in the process of building Maeda's new brand and its original brand. So we got to keep Kings alive and keep it up there at the top, right? So Maeda's going to
No,
be up there just now,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's understandable. It's
Yeah.
understandable. Um, yeah, man. So tell me a little bit how you got involved in jiu-jitsu and how did you end up becoming, the Fighters Market Canada owner?
Yeah. So
Give me the Coles
we'll make
notes.
it short. Yeah, we'll make it short. But so the beginning of my jujitsu journey was actually a fluke. You know, for those that don't know me, I've been a mechanic since I was 16. I've been in the lift truck industry as a mechanic since you know, for 25 years, and I took an injury to my knee with a ball peen hammer. I kind of missed the punch. So I had some knee problems, and I had Antonio at the time. Amelia couldn't have him, so I had nowhere to put him. So I had my son. I picked him up from school to go do my physiotherapy, and that's when I saw martial arts. Next door to the physiotherapy was Judoka martial arts. Some of you know from Whippy,
Mm,
Kevin Osmond, and so I walked in there and I asked them, "Hey, listen, is it okay if I leave my son here to to watch your classes while I go do physiotherapy?" I wasn't comfortable, but at the same time, I had nowhere to put him, and I saw a lot of families there, so it kind of made me feel at ease. I did my physiotherapy and I came out and I didn't see my son. And it just scared the living shit out of me. I was like, well, where's my son? Sure enough, he was already participating.
mm,
And I said, okay. So I spoke to Kevin in the process and, cost and is this a year
yeah.
term? Am I locked in? I have 3 months of physiotherapy. So I put him in for 3 months and man, here I am today. So after physiotherapy, I sat in class and essentially I joined, seeing the way they were doing it and participating in the tournaments. And I wanted to coach and be a part of this. And how can I coach and not be a part of it? Like, how is
Mm,
someone or a parent supposed to
yeah.
coach their children and not do the art? I think it's imperative to do the art. I just fell in love. And my focus in the beginning was children, helping Kevin with the children's class and understanding. And Kevin did a lot of good things, and he still does. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not there for our own personal reasons. I wanted to grow in the jiu-jitsu community, not so much the judo. But I was fortunate to help Kevin with children with needs. He does a lot of support in that sense, help
Hmm.
children that parents can't even afford to put them in martial arts. So I became a big part of that program. And I tell you, it made me grow just as a human being to see that. And
Yeah.
from that point, I just fell in love. I fell in love with the arts, both arts, judo and jiu-jitsu. More jiu-jitsu, obviously. That's what I do now.
Yeah.
After 5 years, I stopped judo. But man, this is beautiful. This changed my life. It changed my children's lives. I swear to you. You know what I mean? Like Antonio was
Yeah.
picked on all the time, every year. And it just changed them. It changed all of
Mm,
us. We see life
yeah.
so different. When people
Yeah.
say jujitsu changes your life, It does.
It's
It
not
truly
cliche anymore,
does.
right? It's not
No,
cliche.
it's so true. And for those that don't understand it or think we're full of it, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah,
Find your local jiu-jitsu community and join.
yeah,
You'll see what we're all talking about because jiu-jitsu changes people's lives in so many
yeah,
different ways. And I'm so honored and proud to be a part of it, for
yeah.
sure.
No, it's crazy, because I think this is so detrimental to so many people because I mean I know that the proximity of the art and how closeness and it's a problematic situation when it comes to the spreading of this virus, but at the same time, like it provides so many people with an outlet, a necessary outlet in their lives, a positive outlet in their lives
Yeah,
that and they're stuck at home, and I can't I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not the kind of person that hides behind a facade, or I'm a human being, man. I go through
yeah,
emotions. I go through ups and downs like everybody else,
a
and
hundred
I'm not going to
percent.
pretend. I'm not going to pretend. And the thing is, sometimes people look. I think no. I think, and I know that people sometimes look at me like they want to see a superhero type person. And like I'm a human being, man. Like, I
Yeah,
have ups and downs like everybody else, and this whole thing is affecting me as well. And if it's affecting me, someone that's been in this for a very long time, and to have to start to question mentally all these, and to have anxiety and stress, I can't imagine what all other people that don't have an outlet, or they don't have a certain skill to deal with these things, and how they're doing like during this time, you know what I mean?
yeah, a
And
hundred
I
percent.
can't imagine if I wasn't like having the mental aspects of jiu-jitsu, and I've been through trials and tribulations before, so it's not like this is new. It's just different, you know.
Yeah,
But if again, through martial arts and training and the support systems and things that I have, I can, I I can get through these days and these situations. But I can't imagine with people with like some serious mental issues, how are they dealing with this stuff, right? And
yeah,
without having the mats as an outlet, I can only imagine the stress people are having and the anxiety. And it's only like my worry is the longer this lasts, the bigger these issues are going to become, you know?
Oh, I think so, 100%. You know what I mean? I know not everyone uses jujitsu, in general, martial arts, for a mental state. You know what I mean? Some is just for passion of being physically healthy, active.
Hmm.
For me, much like yourself, it's a mental outlet. You know what I mean? I'm a very personal person, which you know. I like to interact with people. I
Yeah.
love life. I love life itself, not just my life. I love life itself, and not to be with my friends and family because as jujitsu is my second
Yeah.
family, and I'm ready to tear because it's so emotional for me. I miss jujitsu.
Yeah.
It's
I
simple.
miss, I
It helps
miss,
me a lot mentally.
yeah. I hear you, brother. I hear you.
So,
How
yeah.
did, so, how did this whole fighters market thing come about? Like, was it something you planned, or was it something that came at your door and you're like, yeah, let's give this a go? Was it a long process, or was it just like opportunity came up?
So that was an interesting story. So, um, it's 5 years going on six almost that I met Bruno, and I actually met Bruno through Tony Isaacs.
Mm.
So we're gonna do the European Championship about five years ago, and we have a condo there in Portugal, not in Lisbon, but outside of Lisbon. So I put together a group that that I'm close with, that I trained with over the years there, and I say, hey, guys, let's go to Europe. You know what I mean? We have a condo in Portugal. It's a good half an hour drive. I know how to drive in Portugal. I've done it for years. I'll rent a car. We can all stay at our family place. And Bruno, I guess, ended up phoning Tony when he realized that Tony was coming to Portugal and he landed in town. So Bruno was setting up his booth with just himself, his brother, his sister-in-law, and Daniel Cobbs from Winnipeg. Didn't
Yeah.
realize what he was actually getting involved in the size of this tournament.
Was this the first
So
time he was there?
yeah, so
Okay.
you can
Okay.
imagine, right?
Yeah.
And so he asked Tony, hey, do you think you can come by to give me a hand? Is your team here? Is your friends? Like, who do you have? And so we got off the plane. And the moment we got off the plane, we just drove right to the stadium and, introduced myself and the rest of the crew. And we started helping Bruno. And then, so I'm a neat freak and very organized, and I like things done a certain way. So when you're not scattered looking for things, and I saw what they had done, and I love them. Don't, Bruno, if you're watching this, I love you, man. But you know me. So I saw what they were doing, and I was like, no, okay, you guys all have to leave. Just go to the front, bring in the boxes and the material. I'm going to take care of the rest. And I just started doing it on my own. I started organizing everything, color coordinated, sizes, T-shirts, everything. And he was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe what I did and how hard I worked. And I end up, hey, do you want me to come the whole week? So it went from being a friend's trip to show them Portugal and, our culture and the beauty of it, to at the Euros for 7 days, plugging away 12 hours a day, you know what I mean? And then driving a half an hour back. So, we got there and I was just hustling. He's like, he couldn't believe, man, look, where's this energy? Where do you have all this energy? And then after we're done the tournament, we go out and have something to eat, and we'd still party. And they would all be tired, and I'd be just like, let's go, let's do this, right? And then, so he fell in love with me, you know what I mean? We started to get really close, and another year went by. He reached out to me. He said, hey, you coming, to Portugal this year? And I was like, yeah, I was planning on coming, you know what I mean? I already bought my ticket. And why do you guys need a hand again? And so I went again. And then the second time there, same thing. I took over, and we started talking. I said, how come you guys, don't have like a Kings or a Fighters Market in Canada, this and that? So we spoke about that for a while.
He started in Canada, right?
Yeah, he did. He originally started 10 years ago. Yeah. And then so what he did, he moved to San Diego, and for good reason. That's where he established to build his company to the way it is, right? That's where the jiu-jitsu is in North America, is there, right? So it makes sense.
Mecca of jiu-jitsu is almost
Brazilian. Exactly. And they're in operation over there. Like, clubs are open, academies are open, they're training, you know what I mean? So going back to that part is like, how come us? Like, what are we not doing right, maybe? You know what I mean? That's what I start thinking about. But going back to Fighters Market, so me and Bruno we started to become good friends, and now we're really good friends. So we're in the talks of it. Tony introduced us. Tony started to get involved in it as well. It was 2 years in the making, back and forth talking, spoke to lawyers to, logistically to, protect myself and especially Bruno, because we're going to uncharted territories. He knows me, but he doesn't really know me. You know what I mean? It's not like so we went into it, and we agreed on everything, teamed up with him for Fighters Market Canada. Myself and Ann, we run and oversee all of Canada and its brands. Tony was involved in the beginning, but due to all the stuff that he had on his plate with the OJA and the CJA and, working with the government as well. So it just wasn't, it wouldn't work for him.
We all, like, a lot of people don't know how much work that guy puts in, He literally is a hands-on guy in helping every tournament promoter. So every tournament, everybody thinks, the promoter runs the tournament. Yeah, the promoter, of course, as a promoter, you're going to do a lot of the work. But, the day of the tournament, he's there and he's facilitating a lot of things, right? So
100%. He's very involved in our community.
Yeah, he's a hard worker.
Very involved in our community. Yeah, for sure. So Bruno came down. I introduced him to my wife, and he fell in love with her. Anne's very much like his wife Dorothy. They're beautiful both inside and outside, but the way they work, their work ethics are identical. And I think maybe that's why me and Bruno became good friends, because our wives are very, very similar to each other. And then so we agreed on everything. Spoke to the lawyers, and now is the time, hey, we got to find a place. You know what I mean? Of course, Anne wanted to be in Durham, close to home, 5-minute drive. Unfortunately,
I was like, why so
far? Unfortunately, we had to really think on the bigger picture. To have Fighters Market in Whippy, where we live, is not feasible for the community. So we're central to the community. It's Vaughan, Concord. We're basically an hour away from everybody for the most part. Obviously, Sudbury and
the airport too, right? close to the airport.
Exactly. Exactly. So that
So
was the best location. And then it was just finding a good location that I can work with. And so, you've been to Farmers Market. We got
yeah,
that place and I did everything. Like I tore it down myself, rebuilt everything. The only thing I didn't do was the electrical and the sprinklers. Everything else was done by me. And, I have video chat Bruno every so often just to show him the progress. And he was like, I'm not even surprised anymore with you, Jeff, because I've seen what you can do. And I don't know. He didn't even know what to say at that point because he knows the way I am. And when I put myself into something, it's 100%. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be outside of my niche. It will be 100% of who I am.
mhm.
And, here we are today. And a big part of me for Fighters Market is I really wanted to bring Fighters Market to Canada for Canada. The bigger
Mm,
picture for me, and it's always been since I got involved in jiu-jitsu, is how can we as a jiu-jitsu community show the rest of the world that we're good, man. We have amazing, amazing jiu-jitsu practitioners here in Canada.
yeah,
So I want to be a part of that community to show the world that Canada's here, we're strong, we're great, and we're coming.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Well, I want to make presence in the world. And so to bring Fighters Market to Canada was a big thing for me because I want to support the community for so many different reasons. You know what I mean? Like to buy things from the US with the dollar always being low, you know what I mean, compared. So that helps us as Canadians to afford to
mhm.
buy high-end brands. Now you don't have to pay for having your currency change. You don't have to pay for the shipping costs, the duties, all of these things.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
helps, right? So now when I was only able to afford a a gi, I can now afford two gis because I don't have to pay all that stuff,
hmm,
right? And a lot of our products, we went dollar for dollar, not dollar value,
right.
which helps a lot too, right? So we did that, and we're just trying to grow. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't know if you can
That's all
hear
right.
that. Yeah, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like Fighters Market Canada, it's not just about Fighters Market. It's about Canada. It's about our community. It's about
Yeah,
uniting everybody together and supporting. And I say it so many times to so many different people, and you've heard me say this.
yeah,
Fighters Market Canada, it's a partnership. And when I say it's a partnership with you. It's a partnership with the other schools, their
hmm,
students. It's together as one.
hmm,
It's not just about us
yeah,
building the company, growing. No, we want to grow with you guys, all of you. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
together we're stronger. It's just that
mhm,
simple. It's the only way we can all survive.
yeah. Well, personally, I can say, far from the sponsorship, which I'm, how grateful I am for that. We've had many
100%. Yeah.
conversations over this. It's more about the convenience because before, an established entity like Fighters Market was here, as a unit and providing like a high level service, we didn't really have anybody that we could. I mean, we did, but it was more of a judo company, and they were, and we couldn't really get anything wholesale where you can
Mm-hmm.
just drive to,
Yeah.
where you'd be like, hey man, I just need 10 Gs. Well, if you're gonna order from Pakistan or China, there's a minimum. You have to buy so many, and you gotta wait
And you
a
don't know what you're
month, and
getting.
you don't know what you're getting. Sometimes it's, I've heard horror stories about that too. So for me, like, and trust me, I've had conversations with other academy owners about, oh, why don't you just order your own brand of gis, like either Body of 4 Team or Yorkdale Martial Arts gis. And I'm like, because I don't want, I'd rather pay even if it's a little bit extra, I'd rather, I still get a deal with a wholesale price, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'd rather pay that little extra per gi, whatever that is, $10, $20 extra gi, so I don't have to deal with the hassle
Mm-hmm.
of ordering from China and Pakistan, of having to deal with customs. It's I pay, and I said this to somebody's like straight to their face. I'm like, I pay for the convenience.
Yeah.
I pay
And
for
the
the
quality,
convenience
because
and the quality,
you
obviously.
and when I say quality, it's not just the product, it's the quality of knowing that if something does go wrong,
Yeah,
you just drive down the street or you
I
make a
can go
phone
knock on
call.
your door.
You don't have to deal with somebody outside of Canada and not know who you're really dealing with, who's getting your money, or are you going to get the product back? Is it going to be the
Yeah.
same one? Is the cut always the same? You know what I mean? And I'm happy to say that, fortunate with everything that happened, I was actually supposed to go to the factory this year. Had my visa done and
Mm-hmm.
everything. We're actually expanding the factory,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't have to sublet it. We're trying to minimize subletting when we
Good.
get to the seasons, you know what I mean, and the special occasions that we do, So, we're hoping what it is. We're not hoping it.
Yeah.
We're actually the factory's being large this year. It's actually in the midst right now, so it's
Well,
supposed to be
I
done in
think that
3 months.
I think then a lot of things. Sorry to, I'm going to bring it back a little bit.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if a lot of like academy owners are aware, but maybe if they watch this episode, they'll maybe
Yeah.
become aware that Fighters Market does custom gis.
Oh,
You know what I mean? If
100%.
you want to have, your own academy gi, you can. They just need to reach out and talk to you, and they can make
Yeah.
those arrangements. And
And
again,
the beauty of that is,
is it going to be cost per gi the same as if you do it yourself? No. But again, it's the convenience, right? If you want the
mhm,
convenience of hassle-free, this is the way to go,
the convenience, the brand, right? So what people fail to realize is, I want to just step back a little bit, right? Kind of almost to the beginning, and then we'll fast forward back again, just so people are not confused.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Mandaruca is the owner and founder of Fighters Market Complete, its umbrella. You know what I mean? Kings, Maeda. He is the one that started it. He's the one that owns it. He's a
Yeah.
founder. I partnered up with him. You know what I mean? Just for
Yes.
Canada. You know what I mean? And then there's James, amazing, amazing person. Like I look forward to Portugal and the Worlds. Obviously to meet up with Bruno in the San
Because
Diego crew.
there's a Fighters Market Europe,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And James runs Europe. So James is in the same situation as I am with Bruno. And if
Mm-hmm.
James actually met Bruno that same year as he met me, we all met that year. And, James ended up talking with Bruno and then ended up helping him as well because
Mm-hmm.
James owns his own brand as well, as some don't know, is Progress, which is now, a part with Fighters Market as well. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just so everybody's clear, Bruno Mandaruca is the owner and founder of Fighters Market and its umbrella. Always has been.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk saying, siblings are involved and are partners with them. No, it's Bruno and his wife, Dorothy. But going back, you know what I mean? The thing is with the custom, where people fail to realize is you're getting a custom gi, but it's branded, not just by you, but by one of the best brands in the world. So
Yeah.
when you have your own gi, and then you have a custom gi by a branded gi, people are going to more so go to the branded gi. Why? Because they know that gi, the quality. So, some
There's a
schools, and not to knock
reputation
them
that
down,
comes with the
I
there's a reputation that comes with the
exactly.
brand. Yeah. Yeah.
You got 100, let's say a mediocre gi. So not even a mediocre, it's not a mediocre gi. $150, $160 gi, that's a really good gi. And it's a high end quality. You're talking 450 G, So you have a $160 gi that's custom with your logo and it's branded by Maeda or Kings, Be Progress, what have you. And then you have a $160 gi that's just yours. There's nothing behind it. It's your martial arts school. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they want to buy the one with the number one brand on it or that one? If I'm going to spend 160 bucks, I might as well get the one that I know is
Yeah.
at the top of the world there, right? So by partnering up with, and not just for us, it could be any other brand in the world. You know what I mean? It's not just Kings. Obviously, we're Kings, we're Maeda, Fighters Market umbrella. We want to talk about our products, but that is the way to go. You're paying that little extra for the brand, for the
Mhm.
quality of service, for
I'm
the
not sure, dude.
guaranteed.
Are you aware, Jeff, if other brands do this? Are you aware
No,
if other brands do
there might
collaborations? Because
be one
they may
or
not be
two.
comfortable with the idea of sharing the name or the brand,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
there might be one, possibly two. There isn't, but this goes back to what I was saying. What people need to realize, Fighters Market and its umbrella. When I say its umbrella, it's its brands, the brands that are owned by us. We do have offside brands like, we carry Moya, Rowan, and all that. They're not our brands, but we supply them, and we also give them at wholesale pricings as well for the academies. But again, it boils down to what I was saying earlier, and what we've spoke about numerous times is partnership.
Mm-hmm.
We've established our brands to the point where we're comfortable enough to partner up and make a custom gi, a custom rash guard, the
Right.
custom apparel with our brand on it, because it's a partnership. Remember, what people fail to realize is a lot of people have other companies that look at individuals as clients. We don't. We look at you and everybody else out there, even just a regular student coming to our store and buying it. We still treat them as a partner. It's so imperative. It's imperative that the schools get the wholesale accounts, because it's imperative that the schools make money. Because together as a partner, both parties need to make money. If
Yeah.
it's only us, how does that benefit you? Because if you're not around, guess what? We're not around. Boils right back down to being a partnership. It's imperative that both parties are making money so both parties can grow. And what's the purpose of our community? To grow. We want to grow the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu community,
Well,
so.
another thing that I know that you've done a lot of work with, and going back to the beginning of our conversation, and again, that goes back to myself and how I'm involved as well, and that's sponsorship. And you mentioned something about supporting local athletes and supporting the Canadian athletes, and I think that's so important because we've had so many conversations about this
Mm-hmm.
particular thing, because you know how I am and how passionate about I am about taking care of the fighters, taking care of the
Yeah.
the, the athletes, because I mean they're out there fighting their hearts out, and I think that we are at a massive disadvantage, I think, as Canadians, because there's just no financial support of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost impossible for you to be. And I think people have to really understand that the jiu-jitsu today at the world level, and even at a recent interview that I did with my good friend on his with Michael on his B Grapple channel,
Yeah.
about the like the level is so high now, that jiu-jitsu is getting to the point where the best guys in the world are like Olympic level dudes, like
Oh,
judo,
100%.
like world champion judokas or world champion wrestlers, and man, if you want to compete at that level, it's a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to travel, because you have
Yeah.
to travel. Why? Because you need to train with these. We don't have, too many of this higher caliber world level athletes, and like it's a very small percentage, in, let's say, Canada or even
Yeah.
Ontario. There's only like one or two academies that have this kind of super high level. The rest is like, okay, we're very good locally and we have amazing superstars locally, but if they go to the world level, it's a different game. You know what I
100%.
mean? They're being bumped off in the quarters. Quarterfinals is the best Canadians can do at this point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few that go a little bit higher, but again, it's those that are full timers.
Yeah. It's a commitment.
You know
It's
what I
their
mean? Like
their
you
life
need 8
job.
hours. Yeah, but how are they going to get paid? They have to
Yeah.
do private
That's
lessons. They have to do private lessons. They have to try and do seminars. They have to, hopefully they work for the academy that they're in. They maybe they're an instructor, but it's not crazy money. It's just money to get by and money enough that they can train.
and
But
hope and hope they
yeah,
they,
no
they
hope.
become the Fiones and the
Yeah,
Leandro Lowe's and the Marcus Buchechas and all
yeah.
kinds of them. You know what I mean? And hope, because it's not all. It's not, even
Well,
when we put our time and work
well,
hard,
look,
it's not
look
all.
at it. Here's a good example. All of the people, all the Canadians that you can think of that made it like super high, they're not in Canada. They had to
Yeah,
leave.
of course.
They
And
had
they
to
all
go
went down to the
somewhere.
States. They went, and a lot went to
They
San
all have to
Diego,
go
Europe.
somewhere. they all have to go somewhere else. You know, well, let's bring three names, right? Jake McKenzie, GFT, man, he moved to
Yeah.
Brazil and lived there for like how many years? He speaks better Brazilian than I do.
Yeah.
You know what I
Your
mean?
boy in
He,
Ireland.
yeah, Shane Fishman went to Ireland to a very good and highly competitive academy that goes to all the big IBJJF tournaments in Europe. And he went,
Yeah.
his level went super high after that, you know, the last 3 years that he's been over there. Man, Dante Leon, come on. Dante Leon,
Yeah.
man. He's a
100%.
beast, right? But look, he's in wherever the JFT headquarters is down in the US there. But
Yeah.
man, these are super. They're world level guys that are at the top of the mountain, right? But
They had
they
to take the
had to
jump
leave.
though.
They had to
They had to
go.
take the
Yeah.
risk. They had to put it all on the line and go.
Well,
You know, I,
another young man who's really good, Cameron Frojak, right? And the last time I was talking to him, I mean, I'm not sure where he is right now, you know, as far as his decision making. But the last time I spoke to him was like at the beginning of the year, I think. It was a while ago. And he's like, he's thinking of moving down and train with Humul Bahal full time,
yeah.
you know, because he knows if he's going to make a run at anything, he's got to be training at these types of academies.
You have no choice. You have to go to
Yeah.
there. But
So,
that
I mean,
costs
what
money
you're,
too.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, and that's why I was like, what you do, even if it's a little, like a little is better than nothing, you know,
Yeah.
and you do support many athletes under both brands, under both Kings and Maeda, and you know, and that's great, man. I think that's a good thing. That's an amazing thing. I think
Yeah.
it's great that, you know, regardless of the brands, that there are many other brands out there that do the same, and that's
Hmm.
really good, man. Like you really need to you know, support some of these superstars, you know.
And we're trying. You know, what I mean, we truly are. Look, we started 2 years ago, and right off bat, I sponsored a bunch of people. You know, what I mean, where probably shouldn't have financially because I put a lot. You know, and Bruno put in a massive amount, obviously, into Fighters Market Canada, so we can open up and to financially start sponsoring people right off bat. You know, it was a risky business.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, some we've let go for, you know, for reasons and not bad reasons. Just some are not maintaining jujitsu, and it was just like a roller coaster type of thing. And we get it. That's
It
jujitsu.
happens,
Some stay,
man.
some go.
Yeah.
You know, I get asked, and you can imagine all the time, man, all the time, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and I have so
Oh,
much love
listen,
for all
I'm
those,
guilty.
for all of them.
I'm guilty, man. I've bugged you a couple of times about sponsoring a couple of my
Yeah.
students. So
And I want to, you know what I mean? If I had millions, you know what I mean, I would, because I
yeah,
truly believe in our Canadian Jiu-Jitsu, and I truly believe in supporting our community and getting those athletes out there, giving them the opportunity and the chance to be recognized. You know what I mean? But
hmm
I can't afford it. You know, I can't afford to
yeah.
sponsor every athlete. You know what I mean? Even to children, we
I
do
think
things with
people
children
have to
too.
understand that it's at a cost. Like
Yeah, 100%.
you're giving him contracts, like official contracts with, you know, money and gear. Well, that's not free, you know.
No,
It costs the
for
company
sure.
money. When if you have a roster of, I mean, I don't know, how many do you have right now off the top of your head, do you know?
So we have, so you know, we spoke about stuff like this before. We have tiers. So Fighters Market as the umbrella, we have tiers. More so in Canada than the U.S. and Europe, just because that level, um,
It's
it's
not there
either
yet.
you're at the
Yeah.
top or you're not in. It's that, and to build Canada, we need to have tiers. We can't just say you're at the top because only one's going to be there, right? So it's tiers. So we have quite a bit. I formulated some tiers the way I did in my management career in the forklift industry with other customers and stuff like that. So I've put a lot of the experience that I had over the years in the forklift industry as a manager and as a technician working with not schools, but stores and stuff like that. So I put together a tier formula. Some are ambassadors, some are sponsored ambassadors, and people are saying, well, what does that mean? Well, ambassadors is a friendly handshake. It's the honor system. You know what I mean? You're gonna wear some of our stuff. We're gonna give you some stuff over the year. You know, maybe a new product comes out, we give it to you. You do a bunch of shout outs and what have you. And then there's a sponsored ambassador where now you're going to get an allowance. We're no longer going to give you anything. And you have a sheesh amount of money to spend at the store for that product that you're going to be a sponsored ambassador about. And you manage it your way. And then, you know, then you have the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and all the way up to tier 5. So tier 5 for me in Canada is like the Leandro Lowe's and Marcus's and, you know, Fione's. We're not there yet, but I did build a tier 5 for what? For believing that we can be there and that we're going to be there, just not yet, right? So that being said, you know, we do have, like yourself, there's the sponsored professors who no longer want to be active in the sense of competing. Some can't, some don't want to, but you know, you've done a lot for our community. And I'm not saying that because I'm here live with you. I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. I've seen what you've done in the last 7 years of my jiu-jitsu career and how grateful not only your students, but our community is to you. You've supported this community since I've been around, you know what I mean? And you've been around much longer than me. I see you at every tournament. I see you helping, supporting your students, even students that are not part of your team that you support. I've seen it hands on. You know what I mean? No one can deny that. So why wouldn't I want to sponsor a person like yourself? You know what I mean? You've deserved it. You've earned it. And I want to grow with you. You know what I mean? So it's an honor for us as Fighters Market Canada, but more myself to be a part of your life.
Thank
you.
You
know what I mean?
Likewise. Appreciate it.
So, and then we have others, you know what I mean? Like, I just signed up at the beginning of the year, Katrina Shkmielput out of Edmonton under SBG. She won the Worlds 2019. She won a few other ones, you know what I mean? Like she's really high level too. And it's not just for me. It's not just West Ontario. I've been searching, you know what I mean? I have a list in my office of potential Canadian athletes outside of Ontario.
So I don't remember if you made it official or not, but is Brianna on board?
Yeah, so I was actually going to mention her next. So I teamed up with Brianna. We spoke. She actually reached out to me, and it was funny. You know, make the conversation short, but we had a really good conversation. And I actually took a photo of the list that I have on my wall, and her name was at the top. It was the first one. And I said, you know, I'm a person. I normally don't have to show things to, you know, prove it. I'm a man of my word. I've always been that way. I'm very honest and open. But I wanted to show her that.
Did I have anything to do with that at all? I can't remember, man.
In the beginning, when I first started, yes. So there was two major key players, which was she's not good. She's amazing. Yeah. So we signed her up. Unfortunately, you know, with everything that's happening right now, she's not able to shine under our family. But she will, you know what I mean? We got to take all of this that's going on in a positive way. And, you know, I'm looking forward to 2021, you know, for the Fighters Market family to shine.
This can't last forever.
And it won't.
Forever, man. You just can't. Because
I firmly believe you're going to see movement in July. I cannot see us not having movement in July. Are we going to be 100%? No. But there's going to be movement in July. 100%. We're going to have some movement in July. It has to. This is not sustainable. We're already losing a lot of clubs here in Canada. I've seen. I know. I'm in communication, and I'm not going to mention their names because it's not right. It's not my place to do so, and it's not fair. It's not. And you know, what can we do? How can we prevent this? You know what I mean?
Well, the longer this goes, people have to understand. Like you're dealing with recessions. We're dealing with, you know, what does recession bring? Or you know, not just a recession. What's the word I'm looking for? Depression, the Great Depression type thing. Yeah, like you're dealing with
worse.
More crime. You know, we're dealing with more problems and more people out of business. Like this is not sustainable at this point. And the fact that the government hasn't really done anything like substantial to deal with small businesses, like this thing that they have in place now, no landlord is taking up on. That
Yeah.
75%, 25% loss. I don't know if any landlords that are going for that. Why?
No,
Because it's
no one
not.
that I
It's
know
not.
of.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
In our community, and
And
you
it's
know, just as
because
much as you are, we speak with a
nobody.
lot of people in the community. I have not heard, not one has been offered that. Yeah.
Well, they have been, but they refuse. They don't want to do it. They
No, see,
have
the
been
landlord
told,
hasn't offered to us as the
yes.
lease, you know.
Or even if you approach them and say, "Hey, can you please take this on because it'd be great for us?" And no, they're like, no, you
Yeah.
know, and uh, and that's a shame because it's not mandated, it's optional, and as long as it's optional, they're going to say no because which landlord is want to
Exactly.
lose any money?
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a lot of landlords that are super accommodating and are being super nice. But
Ours is.
there are some that are being super criminal, like criminal,
Oh,
that they
100%. That was just
basically
posted.
that's evicting people. They're
That's what I was
evicting
going to
people.
say. It was just there was a big post about it. The landlord
Yeah,
chained up the guy's doors. Are you
yeah,
insane?
yeah.
Do you understand that if you lose us, no one's going to want to lease because they can't afford to lease? It's a
Nobody's
loss
gonna.
both parties. You cannot. I'm fortunate. We spoke to our landlord in the beginning. They're like, okay, you know what? You don't have to pay. We're going to defer your payments. And I was like, oh, hold on. I don't. I'm not sure I agree with this deferred payments because in the
Yeah,
end,
me
I've still
too,
got to
man.
come up with this money, right? So we sat down, we spoke to the landlord, and we both agreed, listen, I think the TMI, which is like 50% of the lease, is best for both parties because it doesn't put me in a position where 3 months from now, I got to come up with 3 months rent plus my rent.
Yeah, yeah,
It's covering your costs. It helps us keep afloat to keep our business running until this is all over and done with. I mean, people need to understand, like especially the landlords and us as the leasers, we got to work all together. It's not just about the landlord; it's about us and the landlord as a team.
mm.
Again, it boils down to what I
No,
always
I
say:
never said the thing is I
partnership.
never like, oh, I want a free ride. We
No,
never, my business partner and I, we never told the landlord we want a free ride. We're like, okay, how can we make it so we can keep this working relationship going, and that we can come back and
exactly
it's
a
okay.
partnership.
But what I don't like, what's really not working is a lot of them, they do this deferral nonsense, and it comes down to like, how, for me, whenever I get super vexed, like whenever I get super like I want to punch
That
somebody in the
point,
face, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
is when it's unfair.
yeah,
If it's unfair, then I'm gonna be like, this isn't fair, man, and I'm gonna start
yeah,
getting riled up, you know,
yeah,
and
agitated and
yeah, because we're all taking a loss. Why can't you take a loss too? It's the way the world is
mm-hmm,
spinning right now. And
yeah.
my landlord doesn't want to take a loss. They're being nice as far as like, okay, pay TMI for now, but then they want to defer the payments throughout the rest of our remaining
So what you should do is what we did.
lease, which is we have to basically we have 3.5 years left in the lease, so that means we have to when I come back, my lease is going to be higher.
Yeah,
How is
which
that
is
going
not
to help
feasible.
me?
Yeah, it's
How is
not
that going to
feasible.
help me? Because when I come back, I'm not going to have all the members
It's not
come
back to
running
normal.
through the door.
Yeah,
No, I'm going to
it's
have,
not feasible.
probably if I'm lucky, 40%. That's
What?
barely enough to pay the bills.
Yeah, what
You
we
know what I
did
mean?
is we approached our landlord again, and
Like
so
if
we
you're making,
agreed on the TMI,
mm-hmm,
and then we're gonna do it as a quarterly. So every 3 months, assess. Hey, we still need to go with the TMI program that we agreed on, or you know what, we're gonna take the chance and we're gonna see how it goes for the next 3 months and see if we can make this work. If it does work, great. If it doesn't, we're back on the 3 months quarterly thing. But we're asking that when this is all said and done, whatever was deferred, instead of doing it in payments like yourself, what you're going through is, at the end of our lease term, let's say it was 3 months deferred
Just
equivalent,
that's
add to the end of
just
that lease.
extend the lease.
Extend it.
Just
And
extend the lease, man.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're paying your costs. You're not losing money. It's one thing if you're losing
Yeah.
money. You're paying your costs. We're paying ours, you're paying yours. You know what I mean? We still have to have the factory running. Still got bills to pay. I mean, you still have a family to feed. Everybody still got bills to pay. So, but if we all stick
But
together as a
that's the thing.
partner
I
and
don't
pay the
mind making
costs.
understanding that they have, okay, here's the thing. If you own outright the building, if you outright own the building, well, you all you have to worry about is your property tax and the water, the gas,
Insurance?
electricity, right?
Yeah,
Insurance. So if we are helping you cover those costs, okay. Plus, I'm not the only person in that building. There's four other unions. So
exactly.
if all of us combined, I'm sure you're able to cover what you need to pay.
Cover and still make money.
But
I guarantee you they'll still make money
well, but that's the
because it's
thing. They
all
want
of
to
them
make a
together.
profit. They want to make a
Yeah.
profit though, and that's the thing.
This is not the time to
I'm not
make
making a
profits.
profit. You
Yeah.
know,
This is not the times
I
as
am.
small business owners and stuff like
Yeah,
this. This is not the time to make profits.
yeah.
In reality, let's go back a little bit as we're talking about profits. When have you ever seen Fighters Market, so Maeda and Kings and all that? Because we haven't launched fightersmarket.ca, and we'll get there in a second. But when have you ever seen us put a sale of 30% off for months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't, because today's not the time to make profits. We need to cover our costs, and not only cover our costs, we need to have money to bring in new inventory. Because what's the point of being around and then have no
Well, the thing is
inventory?
that if you the thing is people have especially with landlords, like, you don't understand. This isn't just gonna we're not just gonna open the door and be back to normal. Not in
Mm-hmm.
our industry. Not in our industry. It's gonna be a gradual thing. And so that means money is not just gonna be rolling back in. It's gonna gradually grow as people feel more safe, and then as people trust more the process, and there's evidence that it's okay to come back and all of that, right? So
Exactly.
but if you're handcuffing us, there's no way. Like, there's going to be a lot more issues. The longer this lasts, the more problems this is gonna be for business owners, especially martial arts owners, because especially jiu-jitsu academies, because I mean, I know so many people are working so hard out there, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to keep their academy going, and I respect that so much. They're working so hard, and trying to provide, even if it's like solo drills and 6 feet apart, and running more classes per day to accommodate. They're working so hard to try and make this happen, but their hands are tied until they're given some kind of a green light. And right now, like according to the government, whatever mandate, we're not allowed till stage 3. That could be
Yeah,
4 months from now, 5 months from now.
exactly.
There's no way our industry can survive. If that is the
No.
case, at least allow us to open up in stage 2, which could be maybe a month from now, you
Yeah,
know? So
100%.
there's a lot of people out there working really, really hard to try and make this happen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that will happen, that they will allow us to open on stage 2, and then I will start to make arrangements for that as well. And ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be, like, in all honesty, it's about numbers. Like, if the majority of my student base doesn't want to come in, even within the you know even with all the safety things put in place, and even if we go through all the safety protocols, if they're not willing to come back for just like solo drill classes, like, what I mean, I have a a, a, a pretty pricey lease, so
Yeah,
it's a lot of moving pieces, right? And a lot of, what can we do here, what can we go do there, like, accumulating information, and how we're going to do it, how we're going to process this, and it's a lot of work, and a lot of uncertainty still, because we
for
just,
sure.
there's movement, there's movement, but there's no green light, you know?
Having a plan 100% is you need,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It might not be the best plan, but having no plan is not good
yeah.
either. So having a plan is good. You know, I've reached out to some schools out in the West and what have you. There's one in particular club. Man, I think what he has set up and ready, because they're opening. I think they're opening now. Yeah, they opened this month, and the program that he's doing. I think it's going to work, you know, and he's introducing the parents, you know, with the kids program, you know what I mean? So this is something that our community here in Ontario should look into where,
Well,
you
say
know,
what the academy is, and people can look into it. What is it? Who is it?
yeah. So Kaboom is who it is. Kabir. He's an amazing person. He supports us as well. You know, we do a lot of work with him on the custom side. But he overall as a person, a great professor. We communicate quite often, every so often, as much best we can, anyways. But he, you know, he posted something. Um, you know, he's got his squares out and what have you, and you know
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
doing the Zoom classes. They're still going to continue doing Zoom classes at the same time they're teaching classes.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you know, some children don't have siblings. You know, so they're going to be a solo. So what is he going to do? He's going to give the parent the option to go on the mats with their child and do the drilling together. And guess what? It's no cost to the parent
Yeah.
because it's about the
Right,
student, right?
right.
So, you know, 3 months down the road or 4 months down the road, and we've given the green light that, hey, you're good to go, full activity, but we're going to do it in groups of 10, what have you. The parent no longer needs to be there, but maybe the parent still wants to.
Sorry, Jeff, don't mean to interrupt you, but we have
Yeah.
less than a minute left.
Oh, shit, already, eh? Wow.
Yeah, man.
So,
So
but yeah.
listen, plug whatever you need to plug before we need to move on.
Oh man, it's not my. I want to thank everybody. You know, I mean, I love life. Thank everybody for the support, the continued support. You know, contacting me all the time and making sure that we're okay as far as market, but even myself and family. But for me, man, just stay healthy, stay safe, love one another, and let's stay strong together, man. United. Thank you, brother.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for being on here, brother. Thank you so much to
Thank
everything you
you. It
do.
was an honor.
Thank you, Maeda
Much love.
Canada. Maeda Canada is the best out there. Thank you so much, and we'll
Thank
chat
you,
soon.
brother.
And
Peace.
reach out
Ciao.
to me, everybody. Reach out if you need anything. Give me a shout. Woos.